Hello, friends, and welcome back to Pod Return to the Waking Sands. If you don't know, we are a Final Fantasy XIV companion podcast where we explore the lore and story of Hydaelyn and beyond. My name is Jen, and I'm joined by my co-host and researcher.
I'm Levi.
Hi, Levi.
Hi, Jen.
Hi.
How's it going, Jen?
Oh, you beat me to it. It's going well. I'm going to a little comedy show tonight. Should be great.
Who are you seeing?
It's Rachel Bloom. She's the creator of Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. So she's got some musical chops, comedy chops. She's just overall kind of a impressive woman.
Well, I hope you have fun.
Thanks.
Jen.
I plan to. Yeah.
I am trying to get my damn Eureka Orthos solo clear.
It's going to happen.
It is all possible in concept. It's just the fact that it requires perfect play for X time period. One mistake and bam, you're dead.
Yeah. It's like trying to go for a Mega Satan run in Binding of Isaac as the Lost.
There you go.
Yeah.
Not the worst analogy.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before all that, today we are continuing the main story quest on our mission to slay the primal titan. So what happened last time, Jen?
Last time, we ran around Eorzea looking for ingredients for this freaking banquet for Master Gegaruju, because apparently Vice-Ket and the other company of heroes want us to prove ourselves in this way. And that's what we do. we get stuff.
Yep, we did a lot of stuff last time.
Yeah.
So now, before they will trust us with the fate of La Nocia, we have to do one more thing for the Company of Heroes. We just have to grab the wine from Wineport. Easy, right?
Yeah.
No.
I like, though, that like at this point in the quest, they've become self-aware. Vice-Ket is like, go to Wineport and get this wine for the banquet. And just so you know, this is not a test. We do actually need this wine.
One, it is actually a test, so that's BS.
Yeah.
And also,
spoilers.
Two, just because you're aware it's BS doesn't mean that it's not, so maybe knock it off.
Yeah, you're still making us do it.
This gets to the point where I feel like we literally lose the plot. Running around the jungle, killing
I forget
gnats.
what we're doing. Why are we doing this? What's going on?
Yeah. Anyway, minor spoilers. We head to Wineport, which is across the river from the Costa del Sol area. Wineport is the wine-centric village that's to the north of Raincatcher Gully. This is where we were for the finale of the Warrior quest line. We show up and give this little order to a Lala who is standing by a rack full of casks. His name is Shamani Lamani, and he gives us the Sherlock Holmes treatment.
First thing he does is he smells us. And he's like, dirt, grime, blood. Yeah, lots of blood. I'm guessing you're an adventurer. We're like, oh yeah. So he calls us out right away. We present him with the order for the wine that Vice-Ket gave us. He's like, let me guess. This is going to be a request for my finest vintage, am I right? But that's when he smells the letter. And he's like, Costa del Sol. Loam. Is that goblin cheese? He's like, well, okay, you're probably wondering why I'm doing all of this by smell. I'm not doing this to impress you. I'm doing it because I can't see anything.
As we'll find out, he was blinded during his fight with Titan, and he drifted and ended up here. Sadly, Shamani doesn't have wine of sufficient quality. It's all being hoarded by Bierglint, who owns the largest winery in Vilbrand. So we head to a nearby tasting room and meet up with this guy. Bierglint is a cultured-looking roe with salt and pepper hair and a double-breasted coat and an apron with a little mustache.
A little mustache.
A refined mustache. Opinions may differ.
Yep. Looks like a dirty Sanchez.
He immediately dismisses us, though. Neither us nor Shamani can appreciate his stock, so be gone.
Yeah. The neophyte vintner bid you speak with me? He would rather sell us Gubu urine than even the lowest of his vintages. Begone. And he's called the Wine Baron of Limsa for a reason, I guess.
We report our failure to Shamani, who has an idea for an alternate strategy. Wineport used to grow Bacchus grapes, which produced heavenly wine. However, the calamity wiped out the stock, and now Wineport is growing subpar lowland grapes.
I mean, they're not necessarily bad. I mean, they're not bad. They just aren't as transcendent as Bacchus wine vines.
So if we ask around, we might be able to find a bottle someone has on hand of this wine. But we ask around Wineport, and no luck. No one's got it.
Mm-hmm.
We report back again, and Shamani tells us about his backstory in being blinded by Titan, and then he drifted into Wineport as a vagabond. He tasted this Bacchus wine, and this was a transformative moment for him, where he realized there was so much more to life that he could experience with his senses beyond just sight.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway, though, Shamani stumped on the wine thing for Masker Gegaruju. Instead, we're going to go and help him reminisce for a while because we've got nothing better to do, apparently, like defeating Titan or whatever. So why don't you go and see my old mentor, this winemaker named Dressed, who's down in the jungle somewhere, and bring him some of my wine that I've made to show him how far I've come as a winemaker and to thank him for his care when he took me in when I first came to Wineport.
I wouldn't call him a mentor, though. He's just like, I don't know, did he actually teach Shamani about winemaking, or did he just like feed him some?
No, both.
Interesting. Okay.
Because Shamani's like, hey, I made this wine. Let me show you my skills.
You it. Yeah, basically, when he was in the depths of despair, stumbling around Lenosia or Vilbrand, drunk and sad, this guy Dressed found him and nursed him back to health, and then shoved some Bacchus wine down his mouth, and he's like, "Oh my God, I have found my calling." So off we go to find Dressed, while Shamani is trying to think of some kind of wine-related solution to our wine-related problem.
Mildly ahead of ourselves here, Jen, but the fact that either Shamani is making us run around and do these steps for no reason about like asking about this wine, or this casts serious shade on the whole test thing that's going on. Because either he planned for all this shit, he left his mentor in pain in case someone came by and he could make us help him as a test, or this is all unfolding naturally as he tries to get us this wine for this feast, and the whole test thing is BS.
That's an interesting question. Looking back on it, it seems mildly messed up that he would just kind of keep his pal Dressed, who is like around the corner. I mean, to us, sure, but it's meant to be like quite a ways, which is why he doesn't visit him as often as he should.
Yeah.
But he just like hangs out and like, okay, so the deal is, guys, when somebody comes to you asking to defeat Titan, give me some tips, blah, 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 what you're going to do is send them on some kind of errand to suss out their worth or their worthiness. So Shamani had this in his back pocket, is like, so when that person arrives, I have this task ready to go for them. But so like hand him the wine while I think about it. And if let's say that was basically the test, we're like, no, I'm too important to do this. I don't have time. Just give me something. I don't give a fuck. So it's a judge of, are we willing to do this favor for him, even though it's yet another fetchy crap test? But then I think the end result of that task is not at all anything that he would have assumed. So it evolved into something that he didn't intend. But I think going and delivering wine to Dressed is part of the test, the Dressed test.
We go down to the Raincatcher Gully ferry docks to look for this guy. And evidently he's a bit of a recluse that lives deep in the rainforest. We eventually find him in an overgrown wooden shack nestled against the cliffs that surround the jungle. Dressed is in pretty rough shape. His posture is very peery, and he's wearing a dirty outfit, dirty gray pants, a tank top, and he's sporting an eye patch.
He's standing up in a corner, nervously darting his eyes around like he's being followed or something. And he can't really focus on what it is that we're doing there right now. Like, hey, bro, here's some wine from your buddy Shamani. All he can do is kind of ramble about, I can't sleep, they won't stop, blah, blah, blah. Apparently the midge swarms nearby have been buzzing so loudly that he cannot sleep. And to be fair, if you're not sleeping, you will be slowly driven mad. So, no problem, bro. We'll go kill these bugs for you, okay? We do the thing. We go out and kill some midge swarms, and we come back, and he's like, oh, thank God. And he's immediately much more composed now, and he thanks us, very grateful for the wine and for the help, despite what he had done to our country. The reason why he's there is he was on a recon mission with the Empire, and was captured by the Maelstrom. None of his comrades survived the encounter, and he just went into hiding, essentially. But he wanted to stress that he is not Garlean. He was forcefully conscripted, like so many others who had, who were nationals of lands that had been conquered by the Empire. He was just trying to fucking survive, totally understandable, but now he's just, all he wants to do is go home. I don't know where his home is, but, there are people out there who will help you get home, man. You don't have to live in a house or live in a hut in the forest. He's
effectively an enemy agent, at least politically speaking. So if he shows up and is like, hey, I was in the Imperial Army, help me get home, he might not get a warm reception. Also, if he's in Imperial territory, then getting back there is not easy either.
Yeah, there may not be a home for him to go back to.
Yeah. Now that he's collected himself somewhat, he wants to thank Shamani for the wine. And to do so, he wants us to collect some coconuts he's left out to ferment some palm wine, and then bring them back to Shamani. So we find them lying partially submerged in a stream bed, scoot them up, and return to Wineport. Shamani is grateful for the wine, and he resolves to someday pay Drest a visit. But for now, though, he's figured out a solution to this wine predicament. Because evidently the leaves used to seal these coconuts shut were actually from a Bacchus grapevine. He can smell the telltale scent of this vine from the leaves. And that must mean that somewhere in the gully there is a wild Bacchus vine. So we go back to ask Dresd where he got these. And it turns out they were recovered by the Juggernaut to the south, which is a crash-landed Imperial Magitech device that's rusting away in one of the jungle's ponds. And there were Gubu tracks somewhere nearby the place where Dresd found these leaves. So maybe the vine's growing on a Gubu.
Sounds reasonable. And it also makes sense that nobody else has been able to just accidentally stumble upon them just growing in the wild. It seems like that's an avenue they would have pursued already. So when we go back down to that Juggernaut jutting out of this pond, all rusted up and stuff, it's one of those weird ones that it's just like a really tall, thin cylinder flying machine with its little wings. We go down there to wait for this Gubu, and before long he shows up, and his name is Shazmu, and we fight him. And like Drest had surmised, when he falls to the ground, he's very clearly covered in grapevines instead of the normal growths that you see on the Gubus around town. So we grab a cutting, an actual vine, and bring it back to Shamani, and he is so freaking excited, and his yelling and hooting and hollering attracts the demon vintner of Wineport. What's his face? B. Fucking row name. It's a Bill Gates
His name is Bierglant. He's an asshole, but is he the demon vintner?
We call him the demon vintner of Wineport. I tried to find something that would rhyme with Fleet Street, but I couldn't.
Who is we? Jen and Jenself?
Yeah, the royal we.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. So he comes running out and he's like, what is this? And Shamani shows him the thing and he's like, oh, what the fuck is this? What, did you two find this? There's no freaking way. A common adventurer? A novice? Vintner? There's no way the two of you could be so fortunate. Yeah, well, look at this shit. And he is astonished. And Shamani is like, no, this is for you. Now this is your responsibility now. You have the knowledge, the resources, and the passion to revive the Bacchus wine industry in Wineport. And the fuck is his name? Bill Gates? Bierglant is, okay, well, we have a moment of vulnerability. Maybe not vulnerability, but at least at this point, he's all right, Shamani, okay, all right. There's some respect building here, and that he could. This could set Shamani and his progeny up for generations. Being the holding the patent, I guess, to to the Bacchus wine, and He just hands it over to the guy who could best support it, which is really, really nice. And Byrglent communicates that. In return, what Byrglent does is he offers Shomani a bottle of wine. But this bottle of wine, this is a bottle of 1547 Bacchus? Oh my god, this is a vintage we haven't seen in, like, not just before the Calamity, but, like, decades before the Calamity. And Byrglent is like, yeah, this was the crown jewel of my collection. And I was vacillating, when do I open this? Today, tomorrow, some other kind of event. There is never, like, a day where it seemed appropriate until now, when it's very clear that it should be savored by the saviors of Wineport. And
it feels like a crime to bring this back to Master Gigaruju. After all this work, it's just going to go to his table.
Right. I mean, the banquet is like for us and for the company of heroes, but you would also think that Master Gigaruju would have one of his own, or at least one of his own bottles of this.
Well, apparently he goes through a similar hassle every time he wants some wine because he doesn't have a direct supplier, evidently, to give him stuff that is of his quality. So we go back to Costa with our new wine bottle. Well, I guess old wine, whatever. Weisget is indeed satisfied with this rare wine. Even someone such as himself can recognize its rarity. Also, Y'shtola has returned. She can see the trauma of our Company of Heroes experience in our eyes. So we're in the middle of recapping all of our adventures to Y'shtola when Master Gigaruju himself comes running over and does a kneeling dive bomb to apologize for his employee having run us around to such an extent.
Yeah, he cannonballs into submission. And it's the fucking best. When I first saw this, I was like, what? And then the animation on my character's face mirrored my own.
Unlike, evidently, the Company of Heroes, he knows and is impressed by our reputation as the Ifrit Slayer and all of the deeds that Y'shtola has done before now. So he's like, I'm so sorry that they gave you the runaround. You two don't deserve this. But then in comes Weisget, who says, come now. You didn't seriously think I would send you running the length and breadth of Eorzea for a banquet, did you?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, because we just did that.
Yeah.
But they reveal the whole company's here now. Everyone that we've met so far rolls up in a posse. And they reveal that upon their disbanding, the company swore an oath that each member would try prospective primal slayers not by reputation, but by their deeds. And each member would employ their own individual standards to test this person to see if they were worthy of the company's knowledge. And if anyone found the candidate to be wanting, the whole company would turn them down. The verdict is in, and we have passed all the tests. So now they will back us in this Titan-slaying endeavor. As an aside, Jen, everyone acts like this is a big revelation, and even Y'shtola's like, oh, that makes sense, I guess. But they've been telling us it's a test the whole time, so I don't really get the reveal here.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I guess the big reveal would be the motivations. As in, like, this is part of our solemn oath to vet any new adventurers who want to try to defeat Titan versus yeah. This is just us randomly wanting to, it's in service of a solemn oath as opposed to just because we feel like it.
Yeah, the oath part is new, but they've been telling us all along that they don't want us to die needlessly.
I mean, they gave us ample opportunity to say, fuck you guys, I'm out.
Yes.
And we didn't, so hooray.
Anyway, I do not feel like this payoff justifies all of the hassle up until now, but we're past it, so great. It's now party time. We partake in the feast that we've worked so hard to procure, and tasting the exotic feast triggers a divine revelation. In that brief, transcendent moment, we glimpse the true form of reality, comprehend its fleeting nature, and cry out to the heavens in celebration. I'm assuming this is like 95% the cheese.
Or the wine.
So after we have our cheese and wine-induced trance, we get well wishes from all of the Company of Hero members for our upcoming fight. Y'shtola is like, they've all but pronounced you the victor, but we have not yet faced Titan. So we receive the secret that we've worked so hard at last, which will be revealed by yet another company member. So we have to go to Upper Lanosia to Camp Bronze Lake and whistle at 3 distinct spots. And after doing so, the member will appear at a 4th location for us to receive his secret. So we head up to Camp Bronze Lake, which is an outpost built across a set of hot springs with therapeutic properties. We whistle around, and up on an upper ledge, this last person, an eye-patched healer named Real, emerges.
So the big secret here is that there is a special tribe aetheryte that the kobolds used to access their underground labyrinth of tunnels, which is Ogomoro. Y'shtola is like, how the fuck did you figure that out? And Real is like, okay, give us some credit, all right? So, we kind of look at huge cities, Limsa, Limsa, Ul'dah. There's just, they're labyrinths in their own right. Being able to get to them, obviously we use aetherites, so it made sense that they would also use them, and then it was a matter of just finding it. So we found it.
The whole point, though, of this back door is that it gets around these tunnels that are dug out by the kobolds of Ogomoro. So a frontal assault is out of the question. So we can find this aetherite up at
Zelma's Run.
Yes, which is a narrow canyon infested with kobolds. And we head up there, fighting past a few kobolds.
I mean, honestly, if any random jerk were to walk up this path, they would see a thing that looks very much like an aetherite. So it's not like it's hiding visually, but if you don't have the skills of, let's say, like an ether scholar of Charlene, you would not be able to do anything with it. First of all, it's not powerful enough to do anything with you. You would have to attune to the other side, which you obviously can't fucking do. So
right.
We're only able to get in there because Y'shtola is able to lend this accent point her own energy, and that allows us to traverse to the aetherite on the inside.
There's a whole bit between Y'shtola and Real where he's like, we had a Charlene scholar who told us that any scholar worth their salt could find a way through this aetherite. And Y'shtola's like, I got the stuff. So now it's a personal challenge for her to find a way through this because some other Charlene in the past was able to.
Yeah.
But the way that geography is compressed in this world, it looks like this thing's right next door to Camp Bronze Lake. But I think the implication, though, this is supposed to be like a kobold-infested warren.
Yeah.
So I think it's
a smattering.
Less accessible in the world than it is in our gameplay. But either way, we trudge up there and find it. And Y'shtola does have the stuff to attune to it correctly. She tells us that she'll follow us behind once she can stabilize the connection between this one and the one that's deep inside the warrens. And the Maelstrom will come here to defend our exit. So, with that done, we can now enter the Navel and face Titan. Going through the aetherite, we emerge deep inside the earth in a massive cavern full of orange glowing earth elemental crystals. And we step out onto a great raised platform composed almost solidly of crystal. In the distance, we can see magma falls pouring down and noxious fumes rising from the depths. As we enter, we're sighted by kobolds, who call out to their lord, Titan, to pass judgment on us. Rocks all tumble together and coalesce into Titan's form. In Final Fantasy XIV, Titan is a big, portly guy made of dark stone with rivulets of lava running through his body like veins. And also, he's rocking a top knot of white hair.
And a sweet soundtrack.
Spiritually, he is supposed to be a protective and nurturing father. But, like a bad dad, he has a mighty and terrifying anger when roused. Kobold myth says that he created the race of kobolds as custodians of the land and taught them the ways of mining and smelting. So Titan, once formed, booms out an admonishment of us surface dwellers for our theft of the lands. Titan is also aware that we have slain Ifrit, and our blasphemies will not go unpunished.
I mean, he has a point.
No, this is all perpetuating a crime. We don't have the moral right here.
Yeah, you broke the oath. This is your bad. And then Titan, when he is summoned, says the same thing. Like, your encroachment and your breaking of the oath in just the name of greed is something that cannot be forgiven. I'm like, yeah, I know, you're kind of right. But you're a problem, and we can't have you just, like, stomping around. So, Here we go.
2 wrongs don't make a right, Jen.
Indeed. It's the moral of the story, kids.
So I think Titan is a very fun fight.
Yes.
Especially in hard mode when it steps up a notch.
I forget hard mode because it's been a really long time.
Don't worry, we'll get back there.
Oh, good. But yeah, no, this is fun. I'm pretty sure I died to this a couple of times when I first did it because I don't know what any of these things mean.
Sure. I mean, that's what happens when you're a new player, and that's fine. That's why you have a party with hopefully rezzers to get you back once you go down.
Yeah, I fell off that platform so many times.
Oh, I think actually back in the day, you couldn't res people who got knocked off.
You would just like lay there. Yeah,
I know in the hard mode, in the old version, once you got knocked off, you were gone from the fight.
Sucks.
But I think they fixed it. Well, not fixed. They changed it to be a bit more forgiving to where you could be rezzed. You'd like teleport back onto the platform with your dead body and someone could res you.
Yeah.
For now, though, this is just the 4-person version of Titan with, your standard light party, 1 tank, 1 healer, 2 DPS. So as always, your tank will point him away from the party so his cleaving attacks don't hit the rest of the members. Periodically, during the course of the fight, Titan will jump up in the air and come crashing down with a proximity AoE in the center of the arena. And these jumps also knock off the outside perimeter of the arena, so as the fight progresses, the arena gets smaller and smaller. And to play into this mechanic, his main attack, which is a linear AoE, it will knock any players caught in it off the edge of the arena.
Mm-hmm.
Also, he will periodically trap characters in rocky jails, which others have to break them free from. But the timing can be tricky, though. If he drops a landslide on the jail, you actually don't want to free the character in the jail until the landslide goes off, because if you free them mid-landslide, they'll be freed just to get swept off the edge.
Ha.
Finally, the other main thing in this fight is that midway through, there's a DPS check where he will halt and expose his heart, and you'll have to go and burst down his heart before you can resume the fight against his body as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, we defeat him, and the observing kobolds shame us. Shame on us for being the aggressors.
Yeah.
And the kobolds are defending what's rightly theirs.
Yeah.
They swear vengeance and go scuttling off into the tunnels.
That's fine. We'll see you around. It's just like, that's like, y'all can be mad, you have a valid argument, but just stop summoning primals.
I get your point, Jin, but at the same time, that is their recourse because they are overpowered by...
Well, of course. And like, they're fucking terrified. That's all they got. It's not like they're going to be able to form a standing army. I mean, they could, but, against the Maelstrom and, the grand companies, they wouldn't have a chance. It's very sad. This is why we all need to, work together. Give everybody Bacchus wine. Everybody's lives will change. They'll see God, and it'll be great.
Get on it, Bill Gates.
Exactly. It's in his hands now. After Titan is defeated, we find a yellow-colored crystal on the ground, and it looks just like the other ones we have. So we pick it up. We are transported to the ethereal sea. We see our big, fat circle of, our curio cabinet, if you will, of crystals. And the Titan crystal is added to our collection, and now we have 4 out of 6.
Yes.
Yeah. And so after that's done, we're back in the arena, chilling out. We pan over to see Nero Tolskeva and a mystery soldier.
We get his name right away. This is Ratatin Sas Arvina.
Ratatin Sauce.
Nice. This guy is decked out in bulky Magitech armor, and he's rocking a pair of tower shields. Dual wielding shields.
I didn't even notice that.
It's like his thing.
He's just got fat armor.
Fat arm. So Nero is super excited about the readings he's getting from this fight. They are evidently much better than the data he collected previously, and they are sufficient for Nero to embark on some mysterious imperial project. It could easily subjugate the whole of Eorzea, given but a little while longer, he claims.
But the mystery man, Ratatin, he's concerned. He's trying to, he's the guy that's like, yes, but he says that Nero's quote unquote curiosity is untested. It's unproven. We don't know what its capabilities are or aren't. And Nero responds saying, you know what? Just trust in my capabilities. My curiosity, as you call it, would have bested Titan in the blink of an eye. It could even subjugate the whole of Eorzea. And as he's saying this, La Habrea appears and confirms with Nero, or confirms what Nero is saying, and that there is no other single power that has ever been conceived.
Yeah, so the Ascian La Habrea just blinks in, neither Imperial gives a shit. Like, this is every day.
Right. Probably. They're totally used to their shenanigans by now. Despite this, Ratatin is still dubious and says that he cannot endorse this course of action. So, he's a very cautious man. Sure, it could win a battle or two, but will it change the course of the war? And he kind of walks away saying, like, I don't think so. We're not going to put all of our eggs in this basket that we've never done anything with. Obviously, Nero is Nero. And he's in love with his plan. He thinks it's fucking perfect. Great. So they both walk off. La Habrea, in Ascian tongue, mutters under his breath, fool.
But then he takes a moment to look at us down in the arena and to mark our progress, having collected 4 of these elemental crystals.
And now they have a 4th.
However, Y'shtola has now stabilized the Aetherite enough that she can leave it, and she has teleported inside. And she spies on La Habrea from around a rock, marking that the Imperials and the Ascians are conspiring together. So now, not just us as the observing players for these cutscenes, but also the Scions know that the Imperials and the Ascians have some conspiracy going on.
Yes. To what end? We don't know.
La Habrea teleports out, and Y'shtola comes and joins us in the arena, saying that she'll be with us in a few minutes after she does some business. So we get zooped out of the Navel. We return to Limsa Lamensa to debrief with the Maelstrom. Our contact, Roshat Riki, is suitably impressed. With our accomplishments, she feels the loss of the Warriors of Light less keenly.
And all of the other Maelstrom officers there start to cheer and clap,
yep.
And it's pretty great.
And just then, we get a ping from Minfilia. She bids us to pray return to the Waking Sands, and that's where we'll leave off for now. So, Jen, even though I was grousing about having the Wineport leg of the errand tied to this whole Titan thing, I think that by itself, the little arc with bringing life back to Wineport by finding this super rare, thought to be almost died out vine on a Gubu was actually pretty cool. I think that by itself would be great. Maybe a Red Rooster Stead, Silver Bazaar, whatever, one of those side quest arcs might better have expressed that. Because it establishes the character and history of Wineport very well.
Yeah, yeah. Especially since it was just basically on accident. That seems more better for side quest kind of stuff.
Yeah.
However, it does feel cool to be a part of the rejuvenation of Eorzean wine, just in general. The realm has not seen this species since before the calamity, and that's a huge fucking deal.
Yeah, I agree.
And what they should have done is just strap Shamani on someone's back, walk around Raincatcher Gully, and he can just smell stuff.
I think that's somewhat disrespectful, Jen, but
I think he'd be down. I think he needs to go on a Rogadin shoulder, like Nanamo. Yep.
Not much to say about Titan.
Nah.
I like the fight. It's a lot of fun.
Yep. He makes a good argument. The Kobolds make a good argument. Yes, they're all tempered, but that doesn't mean much.
It means a lot.
Of course it does. And then, the fact that they're tempered and they can still speak such vicious truths instead of all hail Titan. It's kind of good. They can still see the forest for the trees.
I guess. In this metaphor, the forest is more trees. They are locked to this perspective of kind of protection and defense, and Titan's perspective too, where this is their territory and everyone else is an intruder. Well, next time we are going to go and talk about the leatherworker job quest. So we'll see you then.
And that'll do it for this episode. Thank you guys so much for listening. If you want to get in touch, you can. You can email us at podreturnffxiv@gmail.com or via Twitter at podreturn. And with that, have a great day, and we will see you next time.